Welcome to the Sports Card Lessons Podcast. I'm your host, Big Ken. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a streaming service, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified whenever I drop any new content. Welcome. Thanks for being here. How is everyone doing? Happy Monday. Yes, I said Monday. A late happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. Hope you all enjoyed your day with your family and hope you got to a card show or got to do something in the hobby. Apologize for not getting an episode out as I did promise for this past Thursday. I was traveling. I did return home later than expected, and I just did not have time to get it together before getting ready and getting up to the East Coast Collectibles Convention at Mohegan. So you are going to get that episode probably within the next week. This is an unusual Monday morning episode. I was completely wiped from the weekend. You could probably hear it in my voice. This is what happens when I spend 2 straight days talking to people. Then I came home, got home, the show goes till 4. So got home at dinner time. Nice Father's Day dinner with the family. So here we are, a Monday morning episode. I think it's going to be a little bit shorter. I say this, and then sometimes I get talking, and they're never a shorter episode. But the plan is a shorter episode for those on a shorter commute, but it could get longer. Who knows? Definitely going to pack a punch. How's that? I had a bunch of pickups I'm going to share with you a little later. I want to do a quick recap, East Coast Collectibles Convention at Mohegan Sun, and share some observations and a PSA announcement. The other PSA, not the grading company. So let's jump into it. East Coast Collectibles Convention at Mohegan Sun. One of the things I like about this show, it's probably one of the only local shows here to me that is not almost 100% flippers. It's not 100% people wanting to buy my card and sell it to somebody else for profit. This is a show that draws collectors, draws new people to the hobby, gift buyers, people buying gifts for friends and family members, people who don't just generally spend a lot of time in the hobby or don't know a lot about the hobby that come to either sell their cards or to find a card of their favorite player. We have the WNBA attraction here at this show, and I talked about this on the last episode. Game going on this weekend, so that brings people in, and just people coming to Mohegan Sun for the weekend, right? I mean, a lot of people just come up there for the weekend, look for things to do. There's always multiple things happening all weekend long up there. This weekend, this being one of them, will draw people in. There was a basketball tournament going on up there, so there were a lot of young boys and girls coming to the show, dressed in, getting ready to either go play or had just played or on their way back from playing. A lot of curiosity. So it's not one of those shows where people set out and say, I'm going to a card show, and that's all that's in that building. This is just a completely different animal. And I like that it brings so many people in, and especially me as a retired teacher, for the education part of it. I do a lot of talking. I talk more and provide, a lot of education at this show than any other show that I do. So I definitely like this show. I have to say it was a really good buying show. It was as good a buying show as it was a selling show. for me, which usually you get one or the other. This was a great buying show, or this was a great selling show, but this to me was a little bit of both. And when you get into this lane that I'm in, that's a little bit more specific with the WNBA, and people in the room know your lane, your fellow dealers. Uh, a lot of people are coming to the table saying, everybody said you're the guy I need to show these cards to. And I know it's going to be Caitlin Clark, Juju Watkins, players like that. As soon as I hear that, I know women basketball players are coming out of that case, or that's what I'm going to be looking at. And knowing that, I still try to be as fair as possible when I'm buying. Not only do I want them to come back with more cards, but also out of the respect for the people who sent them my way. Because a lot of times people come over and say, hey, I sent so and so, like this is a friend of mine, and this and that, right? So people are trusting in me. So I certainly want to be respectful of that as well. Saturday show, super busy all day. Before I knew it, it was 6 o'clock, and I had to start to get ready for trade night. We were hosting trade night, but it was just one of those days that was never like you're looking at your watch or looking. Who has a watch anymore, right? Looking at your phone to see what time it is. Um, it was one of those. It was like, oh my god, I can't believe it's 5:45 or 5:50. I got to start packing this stuff up and get ready to go somewhere else. So yeah, it was definitely a busy day where time just flew by. Trade night was a success. The hobby chop, we took that on last minute. We recorded a live episode from trade night on Saturday night. Big plans to make that November trade night. The next 2-day show at Mohegan is in November, and we're going to take on the trade night. But we're already starting to plan it. So we're planning some big things. So stay tuned for that. Sunday morning, doors open at 10 a.m. Right back at it. Super busy early. Probably till about 1 o'clock, 1:30. I saw it start to slow down a little bit. I noticed a lot of dealers running around, coming around to the table, looking in the case on Sunday around that time, that 1 to 3 o'clock, saying that they got wiped out, and they're trying to buy inventory to replenish, what was sold. But I think a lot of us were in the same position. A lot of us got wiped out. I don't think there was much there left to buy. A lot of WNBA fans there on Sunday for the Sun Sky game. And before the game and after the game, I knew when the game was over. And I don't have the specific time, but I know later in the afternoon, people started coming back in with the Connecticut Sun stuff on, telling me that, how the game went and doing a little shopping. Pretty sure another record-breaking weekend for the show itself. I know there's future plans to make that show even bigger. So definitely looking forward to that. They have the space there to make it bigger. So we'll see what happens with that. This was one of those shows where I felt like I sold a lot of stuff. And come Sunday, I'm realizing I have more cards in my case than I do. I say my case, my Zion case, than my case on the table, right? Because as I'm buying things, these are things I'm buying to hold, right? So I feel like I'm replenishing, I'm rebuying, but a lot of that stuff is for a later date. It wasn't for this show. So my cases were dwindling down. My higher end WNBA, I did not sell any of that. And I'm happy to hold on to that. This was a show every when I get to a show like this is a show I say, hopefully this is going to be the show. I'm going to get somebody to come in and be interested. It didn't happen, but all the current ultra modern WNBA stuff selling like crazy. I mean, obviously Caitlin Clark selling, but I the only singles boxes I put out were WNBA, and I sold a ton of singles just from the Caitlin Clark chase, right? Ripping all this wax and putting all the other cards in the boxes. So they were a big hit. A lot of people that bought singles came back 2, 3, 4 times and bought more singles because they walked the room and realized I was probably the only show in town selling that. So happy to see that. Just a few episodes ago, I was talking about people saying, how hard it was to buy. And I know it's still hard to buy, but again, being in that lane, was super happy with the amount of high quality WNBA cards that came my way, right? So my buying was different. I mean, I'm trying to buy football, just like everybody else, but there really wasn't a lot of football in the cases at this show. I brought, for me, in my cases, I had one whole case of WNBA. My other case, I brought my downtowns, my up downs, and a handful of other cards that I'm happy to move now, that I have a feeling that the pop counts are rising so high on these that I'm happy to sell them sooner than later. And these were the cards that everybody was interested. This is what people were looking to buy, but a lot of people didn't have their football out at this show. I saw a lot of football coming to the table with super high prices, and we'll talk about that in a minute. My goal on these uptowns, downtowns, and other cards that I felt the prices weren't going to go up, my goal for that was to sell them and just take that money and reinvest into something more unique. Some cards that are just more, a little different, a little more rare, a little more scarce, that I can take out when I go to the West Coast Card Show in August. Because I'm sure the uptowns, the downtowns, they're all going to be a dime a dozen. I mean, there's just going to be a ton of them in that room. Everybody's case, that's what everybody's buying. And I just don't want to be just another fish in the pond. I want to be a little different over there when I get there. I want to make sure I'm preparing myself to do well and not to have the same cards that everybody else is going to have in their case. Speaking of a little rare or scarce, right? Somewhat. One card I talked about on the last episode was a big come up on a card. And if you remember months ago, I bought the Jaden Daniels Topps Chrome redemption card at the Causeway show. I want to say, I think that was November I bought that. That card was shipped to me, was in terrific condition. I immediately sent it to PSA. And if you're on YouTube, I have it here. I will hold it up. That card came back a 10-10. So I graded the auto as well as the card 10-10. Super excited. I mean, I'd gotten the news last week that, I'd gotten the email last week for the upcharge on the card. So that was a good sign to begin with. So super excited to have this card. By far the biggest card I have in my case right now. And if you're listening, I'll just do a recap of what that card is. It's the 2024 Topps Chrome Jaden Daniels Rookie Auto Orange Geometric. It is an on-card auto, and it is numbered to 25. So this one here is 12 of 25. Probably a card. So yes to 25, number to 25, but again, I'm not sure what the pop count is going to look like, but definitely a card I think the value should be pretty good over the next 2 months, definitely before the season starts. So I'm happy to go on the journey with this card. I talked about a lot of people bringing football to sell at the show, coming up. But wanted to be at July prices here in June. And what do I mean by July prices? Well, right, and I'm going to make up numbers. The last one sold at $150, and they want 200 because they know it's going to go up next month, right? Well, you're going the wrong way. I'm going below the 150, and you're going over the 150. So we're already going in the wrong direction on that. If you're going to sell, like I sold my cards, and that's why I try to explain to people, I sold my uptowns, my downtowns, I sold them at today's prices. I didn't sell them thinking, oh, it's going to go up. And if I thought they were going to go up, or if I knew they were going to go up, well, I would have hold them another month and sell them. Well, there's a reason we're selling today, and we have to sell at today's prices. So yeah, that was a little difficult to buy. And one observation I'm going to bring up here, and it's something I've been reading a little bit, and I've been seeing posts about different things. We talk about who's going to be the guy, right? Who going into this summer, who's going to be the Ray, who's going to be the Chase. I mean, we know Jaden Daniels this year is like the CJ Stroud last year, right? We know he's going to be a popular guy, and I think even Anthony Richardson was a pretty popular guy last year too. And I think he came on late. He didn't do anything to deserve that, but he was the guy that was almost all the rage last year. But every year, every summer, going into the National, there's usually at least one quarterback from the previous year's draft class that everybody's high on. And maybe a little bold, to say this, but I really have a feeling it's going to be Bo Nix. And even what I've seen as far as cards coming to my table, as far as what people are selling, even in the online groups I look at, I don't see very many of his cards. And when I do, I always see them priced higher than what the current comps are on the cards. And I don't know if this is just kind of a setup moving in, like, can we see the writing on the wall here? Or is this just people just being hopeful and saying, look, I'm just going to price these cards with July and August prices, and they don't sell, then I'm happy to sell them then. I have a feeling people are holding his cards. I've asked people at the show. Some people I walk up and they're like, oh, I say, hey, any Bo Nix? No, I'm holding him. I didn't put him out. So a lot of people just holding back on those cards. And it could also be too that the prices may not be as good as what people hope right now. Too. It could be just the opposite way too. I've done that too. I'll get ready to go to a show. I'll look at some price. I'll be like, wow, this guy's down. I'm going to leave him home. I'm not going to bring him. But I have a feeling. From what I'm looking and what I'm reading, he may be the Chase this year. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, it's just a feeling. Caitlin Clark cards, a lot of Caitlin Clark cards showing up there, and a lot of one-offs, like people who showed up at shows, a year ago, 6 months ago, 8 months ago, and said, I want to buy a Caitlin Clark card, right? And realize, oh my God, my card is worth more than it was when I bought it, and coming back to the show. Don't really do a lot of hobbying, but say, hey, now I got this Caitlin Clark card, anyone interested in buying it? People with her cards automatically assume whatever the last sale was, the card's worth more. Not many other players we see that happen with, but we used to see that with Mahomes too. The last one sold at 100. This one's got to be 150. That one sold at 200. This has got to be 250, right? It's got to be worth more because the player is all the rage. And I say you're probably right if you're willing to hold it. Like, it's probably going to get to that 250, or it's probably going to get to that 150, but that's not the price today. It will continue to climb. I just think her cards are just going to continue to climb. I had a guy come to my table, funny story, with a really nice Caitlin Clark PSA 10 card with sales, recent sales between $600 and $800, like that $625 and $803 $803 was the last sale on that card. The guy who owned the card originally came and I said, "What are you looking for?" He goes, "I'm looking for $1,000." I said, "Oh, okay. All right." So I looked up sales. I say, "Look, the last sale on this card 2 weeks ago was $803. The highest sale ever on that card. And the last 3 sales, there was a 620, a 7 something, and an 803, right? So you could see it's on the rise. I understand that. We could see it going up. And his thought was, it's got to be it's got to be 900 or better right now. And of course, he had a card ladder price. He had a screenshot. Somebody had sent him a screenshot of the card ladder. What card ladder thought the price would be was 925 on the card. So card ladder is predicting this card is going to go up too, just by watching the sales on this card. I'm sure their algorithm is picking up on that. He said he'd be willing to sell it now that, I showed him the 800. He was at 1,000. I showed him the 800. He said, "Well, card ladder says 925. I'll sell it to you for 900. My original offer on the card was 750. And based on comps, a very strong offer. Very strong offer. We spent a good amount of time talking about this card. I say a good amount of time, 20, 25 minutes back and forth on the card. I liked the card. I didn't want to see the card walk away. I wanted to own the card. So I said, "Look, I'll pay you the last sale on the card, which is 800, which is just super strong. I mean, I'm paying you right now what today's price is on that card because I'm just matching the last sale on that card." And of course, after all this time, he looks at me and he says, 820 and I can do it. I said, "What?" I said, "I'm paying over comps over the last sale of it. I mean, I'm giving you a generous offer. There's nobody else in this room is going to offer you that amount of money on that card." I said, "It's 800. Take it or leave it." He said, "I'm going to shop the card around the room because I think I can get more for it." I said, "Okay, I appreciate you giving me opportunity. Good luck selling the card." He came back an hour and a half, 45 minutes later. He said, "Hey, I got an offer for 840 from this guy, but you know what? I wanted to give you the opportunity because we spent all this time on this card earlier." He said, "Here we go." I said, "No, man, we're just way too far apart now." He's looking at me confused. He says, "How are we that far apart?" He said, we're within $40. I said, "No, my new offer on that card is $700. He said, "Wait, you were just at $800 an hour or so ago." I said, "Yeah, that's before you shopped it around the room and you still have that card in your hand." Strong offers don't last. They don't last in this business, right? You got a strong offer on a card, you take it. You want to walk and you want to shop the card around the room, and then you want to come back to my table again. There's strong offers off the table because you haven't sold it to anybody. And I'm sure you have no offer over there for $840. And I said to him, "Look, I'm sure people in this room are offering you $600, $650, $675. That's the offers. I know those are the offers you get in the room because they're not in that WNBA lane. Right? They're just thinking, I'm just going to buy this card and with so much room on it that I know I can make some money on it." I said, I'm a different guy. I'm a different buyer on that card. I said, that opportunity is gone. He said, "All right." Well, he got mad and he walked away. He didn't go back to the guy that offered him 840 because I watched him walk right the other direction. So I knew he had no offer for 840. So, I mean, and I tell this to people all the time. If you're at a show and I see this happen, if someone's making a strong offer on your card, if you come to a show and you want to sell a card and someone wants to pay you what the last sale was on that card, and your goal was to come to the show to sell that card, and someone wants to pay you the exact last sale on that card, sell the card. Unless you know something more and that card should be worth more, then hold that card and wait for it to be worth more. And that's a benefit too, right? For me, of being in that specific lane, knowing that there's not many buyers in that room for certain cards. And if you've been along this journey with me long enough, you'll know if I see a card that I really want, I'll pay strong on it. I'm not going to get stupid and pay way over comps on it, but I will pay strong on it. And there's times that I'm just able to negotiate a much better deal because I'm the only guy in the room buying the card. Another quick story that comes with a public service announcement, the other PSA. When you're at these card shows, right, read the room, know your environment, and be aware of who can hear what you're saying at the show. I had a mother, young son at my table. She was somewhat shopping. I was educating. We were having a good conversation about WNBA cards. And somebody I know walked up to the table being funny, right? Or thought they were being funny, using vulgar language, just disgusting vulgar language. I'm not sure if he didn't realize that a mother and son are standing right here, who were very offended at what he was saying. She looked at me, she rolled her eyes, she grabbed her son's hand, and she just turned and walked away. I understand if it's just the guys, it's one thing, but we have to be more aware at these shows. There are a lot more young kids at these shows. There's a lot going on. We need to know, who's around. You need to know what you're saying, who can hear what you're saying. We don't want the kids hearing this stuff. I just ask, be aware of your surroundings at these shows and know who can hear you before you start saying things that pretty much belong only in a locker room. Pickups this week. I had great pickups this week. So first two cards I am going to show you are cards that did not come from this show. Sarah Strong, Sapphire Selections Auto, 7 of 10. And funny enough, this is Sarah Strong Breaking Barriers from Bowman U Best, also black, 7 of 10. So all of a sudden I've got these two numbered to 10 card, both 7. I hope this doesn't become a thing either. Another Sarah Strong card I picked up from, this one was number 2 of 50. And you can see that now I think these might be the first ones with patches on them. I'm not sure. Oh, I'm holding it off the screen. I'm not sure. Picked this up from the Cardboard Collaborative. Appreciate that deal. Two other, I have the gold to 50. These are show pickups, the gold to 50 and the gold to 75 on the Sarah Strong. I know with the green screen, it's kind of hard to see. But they're both sapphire, yellow and gold sapphire. One card, if you watched the live on Saturday night, I couldn't hold back. I had to share this card that night. I was super excited. For me, the pickup of the show. This card showed up at my table, And the minute I saw it, I said to myself, I was going to own it. So the card was going to stay with me. It wasn't going back with the owner. We just had to figure out how to do it. Also, this one is Juju Watkins, also Sapphire. This is 2 of 10. This is the auto with the inscription, Go Trojans, on it. And from what I can tell, only the 1 of 1 and the 1 of 1 and the number to certain number to tens had the Go Trojans on it. So I know in these products, there's just a ton of two things. One, she is in her USC jersey here, which is, I think is, it's her first college, this year, even though it's not her first Bowman. And it's inscripted. There's a ton of autos out there. So with the inscription on it, it makes it different. Also, the Flight Club. I picked this one up at the show. Juju Watkins Flight Club. It's the case hit. Couple great Cameron Brink cards. This Monopoly card, number gold, 4 of 10. This was in the Beckett Raw Card Review of 9.5. And this here is the also Monopoly Gold Prism. This one's numbered to 49. And it's a PSA 10. Hopefully she will be back soon. Some football cards. I picked this card up out of a group of cards knowing that I'm going to be in Chicago for the National. Not a super expensive card by any means, but I just thought it was cool. It's the Mosaic Caleb Williams Capital Gains Silver PSA 10. And of course, a Joe Milton Contenders rookie ticket auto showed up at my table. So I had to pick that up too. Added to all the rest of the Joe Milton cards that I have. So a lot more cards. Those were the highlights of what I picked up. Again, recap. It was a great show. It was a great weekend. I'm tired. Planning on Fanatics Fest next weekend. I'm glad I'm not setting up. I'm glad I have nowhere to set up next weekend because I tell you, the 2-day shows. And I thought it was just me. I was talking to guys that are younger than me too, saying that, they get wiped out too at these 2-day shows. So I thought it was just me being, part of the older generation, but I guess it happens to everybody. Tomorrow night, the Hobby Chop, we're going to do YouTube Live again, 8:15. You'll start seeing some advertisements for that today. And I'll be back next week with a new episode, a new solo. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please definitely subscribe. And most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. Until next time, take care of yourselves and everyone around you.